Namo Vishnu Paraya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Rishatarine Namaste Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Shri Krishna Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare So now we'll say Premadvani prayers. Please bow down. Head to the floor. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Ashtotara Satashi Srimad, His Divine Grace Srila Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Ashtotara Satashi Srimad, His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Sekaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinata Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda Ki Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Ki Shri Shri Gauranitai Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Shri Navadvip Dham Ki Ganga Mai Ki Yamuna Mai Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Tulasi Devi Ki Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanandi Haribo. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories onto the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So now we'll chant prayers to Lord Nrsimhadev. Please remain seated, and then we'll release you. Who's singing? You want to sing? Yeah.
Namaste Narasingaya Namaste Narasingaya Praladadaine Praladadaine Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha Shilatankanakalaye Shilatankanakalaye Ito Narsimha Parato Narsimha Ito Narsimha Parato Narsimha Yato Yato Yami Tato Narsimha Yato Yato Yami Tato Narsimha Bahir Narsimha Hridaye नरसिम्हा बहे नरसिम्हा हृदये नरसिम्हा नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपदे नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपदे तव कर कमलवरे नाखाम अद्भुत श्रृंगाम दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु धनुभृंगाम केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश रे जय जगदीश रे जय जगदीश रे हरे नाखाम अद्भुत श्रृंगाम दलिता हिरण्यकशिपो धनमृंगाम केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश रे जय जगदीश रे नरसिंहदेव 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 जय नरसिंहदेव जय प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद नित्य गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौरा हरि बोल जय नरसिंह भगवान की प्रहलाद महाराज की So thank you everybody for attending this aarti. Now there will be prasadam served in the Haveli in the room C. So whoever wants to avail of this facility, please make your way towards the Haveli. And there are some announcements which David Prabhu will make now.
Not too many announcements. Just that we'll continue with some hearing and chanting in the temple room. Yeah, so if you're not hungry, please stay for that. And if you are hungry, you can go take prasadam and come back here. And we will be reading from Krishna book, which is a really wonderful narration. And I highly recommend you coming to hear from Krishna book because this is the whole purpose of this temple. To be able to come and hear about Krishna. Thank you very much. Haribol. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. That's not a bad idea, actually. So we're just going to sing some prayers to the spiritual master, his associates, the Lord. And this is for the purpose of invoking blessings and auspiciousness. Om Jnanatimirantasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasma Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Darati Swaparantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtatyaresha Tarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Namine Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Dayataya Kripaptaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayine Prabhave Namaha Madhurojvala Premadhya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karana Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Virudhapa Siddhanta Dvanta Harine Namo Gaura Kishoraya Sakshad Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambara Sambhode Padambujayate Namaha Namo Bhaktivinodaya Sachidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gaura Virbhava Bhumistvam Nirdeshta Sajana Priya Vaishnava Sarva Bhauma Shri Jagannatayate Namaha Vansha Kalpa Tarupyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Parayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishé Namaha Hey Krishna Karana Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare So we're reading from Krishna book, and we are on chapter 4. Kamsa begins his persecutions. So Kamsa attempted to kill the 8th child of Devaki, whom he thought was a girl. The reason he thought she was a girl was because, well, she was a girl, but initially she was not a girl. She was a boy. He was a boy. Krishna. And Krishna was taken by Vasudeva across the river Yamuna in the dead of night to Gokula. And on the instruction of the Lord, he placed the child, Krishna, in the lap of Mother Yashoda, and he carried the girl that had been born to Yashoda and took her back to Mathura. So that whenever Kamsa was informed that a child had been born, he did not find Krishna, rather he found this baby girl, whom he attempted to kill. But as he attempted to throw her against some rocks, she rose up into the sky and assumed her powerful form, because she was none other than the Lord's internal energy, Yoga Maya, manifesting in this material world as Durga Devi. So after this incident, and of course Durga Devi admonished Kamsa, and what did she say? She said, "You rascal, how can you kill me? The child who will kill you is already born before me, somewhere within this world. Don't be so cruel to your poor sister." So on hearing this, Kamsa became very much overwhelmed with fear, and he also felt some kind of remorse, some kind of guilt for his terrible actions, because he had killed all of the previous children belonging to Devaki. And so he began to beg for forgiveness from his sister. He said, "My dear sister Devaki, you are so gentle and kind. Please excuse me. Don't be aggrieved by the death of your children, which I have caused. Actually, this was not done by me, because all these are predestined activities." So, Lorraine, we're reading from this book. It's called Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it's a summary study of the 10th part of our most important scripture, which is called Srimad Bhagavatam. And in the 10th part of Srimad Bhagavatam, the life and activities of Lord Krishna are very wonderfully described. So, in this book, all of those activities are described, but it's also interwoven with the whole Krishna conscious philosophy. Srila Prabhupada very kindly put so much into this book so that we would understand things in their proper perspective. We would understand who Krishna really is and what is his actual position. Some people say God is great, and Srila Prabhupada, he would say, yes, God is great, but how great is God that we should understand? What is the greatness of God? So in this book, Krishna, we can very easily understand how great God is by Srila Prabhupada's mercy. So I'm not sure how many of you are aware of the background to this story. Just very briefly, it was prophesied that Krishna would appear in the world and destroy the demons, particularly one demon who was called Kamsa. He was a very ruthless ruler, bent on his own aggrandizement and control. And Kamsa became very afraid that Krishna would appear in the world to kill him, because that had been prophesied. On the wedding day of Kamsa's sister, it was Kamsa's sister who was getting married, this prophecy came from the sky, and Kamsa was about to kill his sister there and then on her wedding day. But her husband, Vasudeva, persuaded his brother-in-law not to do something so heinous, and he managed to spare the life of his new bride. Kamsa was pacified for the time being, but upon the birth of each of Vasudeva and Devaki's children, Kamsa mercilessly killed the children. On the appearance of the 8th child, which happened to be Krishna, by some arrangement of Krishna, Krishna managed to escape Kamsa's prison. His father actually was able to take him out of the prison and carry him to a safe place. But it appeared that a daughter had been born in the prison. So Kamsa, being basically crazed with fear of his own death, he tried to kill that girl. But the girl manifested her divine form, actually, and she admonished Kamsa. And after this incident, Kamsa became a little bit sorry for his activities. Of course, his fear remained because he was told that Krishna had taken birth somewhere else and that his time would come. Anyway, he's addressing his sister, whom he has treated so harshly and cruelly. And he says that, "Please excuse me, don't be aggrieved by the death of your children which I have caused." And he says, actually, this was not done by me because all these are predestined activities. So we understand that there is such a thing as destiny. When someone takes birth in this world, their quota of pleasure and pain are determined due to their past actions. This is known as karma, law of karma. So Kamsa is appealing to this law that all the various happenings in the world are destined, but he's trying to absolve himself of responsibility. Whereas we can understand that although the reactions of our activities are destined, we still have some modicum of free will, some minute free will, and we can choose to be, let's say, players in the drama or not. Right? Someone thumped me, I thumped them back. They thumped me back, I thumped them back, and so it goes. Until eventually I might decide that, well, why am I getting involved in this tit for tat? Let me just remove myself from the complicated chain of events. Yeah, there is that potential of being able to choose one's actions, but it can be difficult because we are swayed by the forces dictating to us that you must act in this way and you must retaliate. Yeah, we are dictated to by the force of anger and envy and lust, and therefore it can be difficult to extricate ourselves from the chain of actions and reactions. So Kamsa is continuing to address his sister. He says, "One has to act according to the predestined plan, even unwillingly." Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita that everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the dictations of the material energy. No one can refrain from doing something, even for a moment. We are, in one sense, at the mercy of this material energy. And we are dictated to. The mind and the senses are practically dictated to. And unless one has very strong intelligence and consciousness of a higher purpose, then one will carry out the dictations of the material energy. Because our constitutional position is to serve as tiny parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. We have a constitutional nature. It's described as a constitutional nature. Jivera Svarupahoy Krishnera Nityadas. We don't exist in isolation. We are not islands. We are very much interconnected with everything in creation. And ultimately that means that we are connected to the source of creation. So we can give various names to the source of creation. Of course, everyone knows the generic name God, right? And in different cultures, different traditions, languages, then God will have various names. Within Vaishnavism, we have a very specific name for God, which is Krishna. Krishna means one who is all attractive. One who is all attractive. And why not? How could God be God if he was not all attractive? If there was someone who was more attractive than God, then that would mean that God would have some kind of competitor or superior. It's natural that God should be the most attractive of all personalities. And why is he the most attractive? Because he possesses all attractive qualities. Specifically, beauty, strength, wealth, fame or influence, knowledge, and renunciation. Yeah? He is very much his own man. He is detached from any other source of pleasure. He doesn't require anything from anybody. He is not lacking anything personally. And he is full with beauty, strength, knowledge, wealth, fame, renunciation. So he's all attractive. Anybody in this world who has, a greater degree of these qualities, they become attractive to others. So Krishna has all of them to the nth degree. He has these qualities unlimitedly. And Krishna is not alone. He likes to enjoy in the company of others. We constitute some of those others. Right? And therefore, we exist really for God's purpose, because our existence is entirely contingent upon his existence. Just like if I have a fire, and the only reason that there are sparks coming from the fire is because there is a fire in the first place. And the sparks have a dependent relationship with the fire. If there's no fire, there are no sparks. The sparks have the same fiery nature as the fire. But they're sparks, they're not the whole fire. In the same way, the Lord is an infinite person, an unlimited person. And we are his parts and parcels. We are like little sparks of the original flame. Yes? So our existence is completely dependent on the Lord. And we exist really for the purpose of a loving relationship with him. Because wherever we may go in this creation, to any of its nooks and corners, we will not be able to get away from the Supreme Lord. Because there's nothing beyond the Supreme Lord. He is, in one sense, everything. So another example is that the body is a complete unit. And every limb of the body serves a function. Just like the finger or the hand. When the hand cooperates with the body, then the hand has life. But if the hand is separated from the body, then everyone will say, oh, there's David's hand. But is it functioning as a hand? Does it do any work as a hand? Can you even call it a hand if it's detached from the body? Right? It serves no function, no purpose. When it's attached to the arm, then it's a fully functioning, happy hand. In the same way, because we are constitutionally linked, connected with the Supreme, our Maker, our Creator, our origin. Our true function and happiness is realized when we are in a relationship with the Supreme. Right? When the hand supplies food to the stomach, then the hand receives the energy from that food. But if the hand wishes to exist separately, if the hand could grow some kind of separate consciousness and wanted to exist separately from the body, then how would it get its nourishment? Right? It can't just, it can't crawl along the ground and find some sweet or some rice or a piece of bread and hope to assimilate the nutrients of that food just by touching it. Yeah? The proper pathway of nourishment for the hand is to supply food to the stomach. So in the same way, when we serve the Source, the Supreme Lord, then we discover that our life gains meaning, value, and we realize our true peace and satisfaction. Another example is that if you want to water a tree or a plant, then you don't have to water each branch, twig, or leaf separately. You water the root. And by watering the root, all parts of the tree are nourished, satisfied. So we are part of God. We are tiny little fragments of the Supreme Lord. Krishna says, Mamaivam sho jiva loke, jiva bhuta sanatana. Everyone in this world is my fragmental part. But we are struggling very hard with the six senses, which includes the mind. So I am a tiny, fragmental, spiritual spark of Krishna. But I have been given a machine, this material body, through which to try to enjoy matter. And as a result of identifying myself with this material body, I am struggling very hard. Karshati. I'm struggling very much in this world. But when I take to the path of Krishna consciousness and do this yoga, this bhakti yoga, which means to reawaken my relationship with the Supreme, then I can become constitutionally situated. I can become situated in my real life, my real position. Just like that spark of the fire, as long as it is near the fire, it retains its fiery glow. Yeah, it demonstrates its fiery nature, heat and light. If that spark falls at a distance from the fire, it becomes extinguished. Now it's just an ash, right? No heat, no light. So when we are separated, seemingly separated from the relationship with the Lord, then we appear to be extinguished in our spiritual nature. Our spiritual nature appears extinguished, covered. And when we come in touch again with our source, with Krishna, then our real spiritual nature becomes revived. So the process of Krishna consciousness means how to revive our spiritual nature, our original spiritual nature. And when we revive that nature, we will experience satisfaction, peace, fearlessness. If we are feeling fearful, if we are experiencing lamentation, anxiety, hankering, these are all symptoms of ignorance of our real spiritual identity. And when we begin again to act in our spiritual identity, we are immediately relieved. Just like if someone is hungry and they have a full meal, they can experience that their hunger is now satisfied. Nobody has to tell them that you're satisfied. Simply by the eating process, then they become fool. In the same way, by performing this bhakti yoga, which begins with hearing and chanting about Krishna, then we can also feel peace and satisfaction. Does anybody have any reflections or questions at this point? Otherwise, I'll keep reading. Anything? Okay? Let's keep reading. So Kamsa is talking to his sister here. He says, one has to act according to the predestined plan, even unwillingly. People misunderstand that with the end of the body, the self dies. Or they think that one can kill another living entity. Right, so he's pointing out the difference between the body and the soul. Right? The body may die, but the soul does not die. The soul continues. And if somebody dies at the hands of another person, the killer does not actually kill the soul. The killer may destroy the machine, may destroy the material machine, but they cannot kill the soul, because the soul is unkillable. The soul is imperishable and indestructible, Krishna says. All these misconceptions oblige one to accept the conditions of material existence. In other words, as long as one is not firmly convinced of the eternality of the soul, one is subjected to the tribulation of being killer and killed. My dear sister Devaki and brother-in-law Vasudeva, kindly excuse the atrocities I have committed against you. I am very poor-hearted, and you are so great-hearted. So take compassion upon me and excuse me. While Kamsa was speaking to his brother-in-law and sister, tears flowed from his eyes, and he fell down at their feet. Believing the words of Durga Devi, whom he had tried to kill, Kamsa immediately released his brother-in-law and sister. So he's fearful. Hearing the prophecy of Durga Devi, yes, his fear is again stirred up, exacerbated. But we can just imagine the scene here, right? Kamsa is such a demonic personality, and still, right, he's falling down at the feet of his sister and brother-in-law, and tears are flowing from his eyes. It's not that demons are incapable of emotion, right? But their purpose is utterly selfish. He personally unlocked the iron shackles and very sympathetically showed his friendship for his family members. When Devaki saw her brother so repentant, she also became pacified and forgot all his atrocious activities against her children. Vasudeva also, forgetting all past incidents, spoke smilingly with his brother-in-law. So this is very instructive, that saintly persons like Vasudeva and Devaki, they are able to overlook and forgive the atrocities of another. Whereas a demonic person, they cannot do such a thing. So Vasudeva told Kamsa, "My dear fortunate brother-in-law, what you are saying about the material body and the soul is correct. Every living entity is born ignorant, misunderstanding this material body to be his self. This conception of life is due to ignorance, and on the basis of this ignorance, we create enmity or friendship. Lamentation, jubilation, fearfulness, envy, greed, illusion, and madness are different features of our material concept of life. A person influenced like this engages in enmity only due to the material body. Being engaged in such activities, we forget our eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead." Just like you get a bunch of actors together and they perform the part of friends or deadly enemies, yeah, while they're on the stage. So the whole world is a stage, and we are all actors on this stage, inhabiting different costumes. Yes, and on the basis of our costume, we think, this person is my friend, or that person is my enemy. Yes? And we lament for something that we have lost in relation to this costume. We are in jubilation as a result of something we have gained for this costume. We're very afraid of losing something in relation to this costume. We're envious of people who have something that we wish we could have for this costume. Vasudeva took the opportunity of Kamsa's benevolence and informed him that his atheistic activities were also due to his misconception, to this misconception of life, namely taking the material body to be the self. When Vasudeva talked with Kamsa in such an illuminating way, Kamsa became very pleased, and his guilt for killing his nephews subsided. With the permission of his sister Devaki and brother-in-law Vasudeva, he returned to his home with a relieved mind. But the next day, Kamsa called all his counselors together and narrated to them all the incidents that had happened the night before. All the counselors of Kamsa were demons and eternal enemies of the demigods, so they became depressed upon hearing their master speak of the night's events. And although they were not very much experienced or learned, they began to give instructions to Kamsa as follows. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna describes that in this world there are two essential natures. There's a divine nature and there's a demonic nature. In previous ages, these types of personalities would be separated by planets even. They had their own places of residence and they did not mix. In the Kali Yuga, in the present age that we live in, which has been going on now for 5,000 years, this divine and demonic nature can be observed even within one body. We have like the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other, yeah? So the divine and the demonic natures are always competing, always in conflict. And they don't like each other, The demons are very much averse to the demigods, and the demigods are at odds with the demons. So those who have a demonic nature, they're always opposing God and His servants, because the Lord and His servants are very much of the divine nature. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna describes the qualities of these two types, the divine and the demonic natures. So these counselors of Kamsa, they were all of the demonic disposition. And so they did not like the fact that Kamsa had reached some kind of, reconciliation with Vasudeva. And he was talking of spiritual knowledge, the difference between the body and the soul. So they advised him as follows. They said, "Dear sir, let us now make arrangements to kill all children who were born within the last 10 days in all towns, countries, villages, and pasturing grounds. Let us execute this plan indiscriminately. We think that the demigods cannot do anything against us if we perform these atrocities. They are always afraid of fighting with us, and even if they wish to check our activities, they will not dare to do so. Because of your immeasurable strength, they fear your bow. Indeed, we have practical experience that whenever you stood to fight with them and began to shower your arrows on them, they immediately fled in all directions just to save their lives. Many of the demigods were unable to fight with you, and they immediately surrendered themselves unto you by loosening their turbans and the tufts of hair on their heads. With folded hands they begged you to spare them and said, 'My lord, we are all afraid of your strength. Please release us from this dangerous fight.'" So Kamsa's counselors were continuing. We have also seen many times that you would never kill such surrendered fighters when they were all fearful, their bows, arrows, and chariots broken, forgetful of their military activities and unable to fight with you. So actually we have nothing to fear from these demigods. So Kamsa's counselors, they're really bigging him up here. They're saying, let's not worry about the demigods whenever we face them in battle. Yeah, you've always been victorious. They're always running in fear from you. Let's not consider them at all, and let's just do whatever we like. They are very proud of being great fighters in peacetime outside the warfield, but actually they cannot show any talent or military power on the warfield. Although Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, and Lord Brahma are always ready to help the demigods, headed by Indra, we have no reason to be afraid of them. As far as Lord Vishnu is concerned, he has already hidden himself within the hearts of all living entities, and he cannot come out. As far as Lord Shiva is concerned, he has renounced all activities. He has already entered into the forest. And Lord Brahma is always engaged in different types of austerities and meditation. And what to speak of Indra, he is a straw in comparison to your strength. Therefore, we have nothing to fear from any of these demigods. But we must not neglect them, for the demigods are our determined enemies. We must be careful to protect ourselves. To root them out from their very existence, we should just engage ourselves in your service and be always ready for your command. The demons continue to say, if there is some disease in the body which is neglected, it worsens and becomes incurable. Similarly, when one is not careful about restraining the senses and lets them loose, it is then very difficult to control them. Therefore, we must now be very careful of the demigods before they get too strong to be subdued. The foundation of the strength of the demigods is Lord Vishnu. So Vishnu is another name for Krishna. Yes, same person. The Lord has innumerable names. So Krishna and Vishnu means the same, Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the demons are continuing. The foundation of the strength of the demigods is Lord Vishnu, because the ultimate goal of all religious principles is to satisfy him. The Vedic injunctions, the brahmanas, the cows, austerities, sacrifices, performances of charity, and distribution of wealth are all for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu. So let us immediately begin by killing all the brahmanas who are in charge of the Vedic knowledge, along with the great sages who are in charge of sacrificial, ritualistic performances. Let us kill all the cows, which are the source of butter, which is so necessary for performing sacrifices. Please give us your permission to kill all these creatures. So Lord Krishna is described as Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha. We say, Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagaditaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. We offer our respectful obeisances to the Lord who is known as Govinda. The Brahmanas, those that are absorbed in spiritual knowledge and distributing that knowledge, they're very dear to God. And perhaps even more so, dear to him are who? Anybody knows? Who's even more dear to him? Okay, we can say that Brahmanas broadly and loosely includes devotees, yeah. But I'm thinking of another kind of entity, another kind of creature. It's mentioned here. Again? The cows, yes. The cows are very, very dear to the Lord. And therefore they must be given all protection, by all means. So these demons are seeking Kamsa's permission to kill all of these entities, all of these personalities who are dear to Krishna. Actually, they're continuing. Actually, the limbs of the transcendental body of Lord Vishnu are the Brahmanas, the cows, Vedic knowledge, austerity, truthfulness, sense and mind control, faithfulness, charity, tolerance, and performance of sacrifices. Right, these are described to be the limbs of the Lord's transcendental body. What are they again? The Brahmanas, the cows, Vedic knowledge, austerity, truthfulness, sense and mind control, faithfulness, charity, tolerance, and performance of sacrifices. These are all limbs of the transcendental body of Lord Vishnu. What is the best sacrifice to perform in this age of Kali? Does anybody know? What's the best sacrifice that you can perform? Any suggestions? Sacrifice. If we want to make some sacrifice, yeah, for our benefit and to please God, what kind of sacrifice do we do? I can't hear you, sorry? Food. Oh, eating.
Food.
Offering food to the Lord. Yeah? Okay, yeah, that's a very good sacrifice, right? We prepare some nice food stuff and we offer that to the spiritual master, right? Or to the deity form of the Lord. Yeah, and then Krishna is fully capable of accepting that if it's offered with love. And then we receive that as prasadam. Yes, this is an important sacrifice. But there is one specific sacrifice that is recommended above all others in this age. Anybody knows what it is? Sankirtana Yajna. Sankirtana Yajna. What does that mean? Anyone knows? What is Sankirtana? Prayer? Okay. It's a kind of prayer. It's a loud prayer. And it's done in cooperation with others. Yeah, so we all say the same, we all say the prayer together. Yeah, do you know what the prayer is? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is the prayer. And this prayer means, O my Lord, O energy of the Lord, kindly engage me in your service. When we come together and we chant this mantra, right, cooperatively and with full commitment, yeah, and loudly, then Krishna is very pleased. This process of sacrifice was given to us by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You see this picture above my shoulder? Yeah? In the center is Lord Chaitanya. He is Krishna himself. Yes, he's nobody else. He's Krishna. But he doesn't appear with a blackish complexion. He appears with a golden complexion. Therefore, he's known as Gaura Sundara or Gaura Hari. And he comes to teach us how to be a devotee of Krishna. And he inaugurates, he begins this sacrifice of chanting. It's a great sacrifice. To chant God's names is a sacrifice. We spend energy, time, yes, to vibrate the names of God. And when we come together to do this, then it's known as Sankirtana. So this is the great sacrifice for this age, and all spiritual perfection is possible by this chanting of Hare Krishna, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So performance of sacrifices is one of the limbs of the Lord's spiritual body. Lord Vishnu is situated in everyone's heart and is the leader of all demigods, including Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. Therefore we think that to persecute the great sages and brahmanas is to kill Lord Vishnu. So they're plotting, right, how to kill Vishnu as if they could. Vishnu is not of this material world. It's not possible to kill him or to even dream of killing him. But they think that somehow they can get to him by persecuting those things that are his own heart, those things that are dear to him. Thus, being advised by his demoniac ministers, Kamsa, who was from the very beginning the greatest rascal, decided to persecute the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, being entrapped by the shackles of all-devouring eternal time. He ordered the demons to harass all kinds of saintly persons, and then he entered his house. The adherents of Kamsa were all influenced by the mode of passion, as well as illusioned by the mode of ignorance, and their only business was to create enmity with saintly persons. Right? Their only business was to create enmity with saintly persons. They go looking for it. Yeah? Such activities can only reduce one's duration of life. The demons accelerated the process and invited their deaths as soon as possible. Right, so this is the result of picking a fight with Krishna's devotees. You're simply inviting death as soon as possible. Don't pick a fight with Krishna's dear devotees. It's a really bad idea. The result of persecuting saintly persons is not only untimely death. The act is so offensive that the perpetrator also gradually loses his beauty, his fame, and his religious principles. And thus his promotion to higher planets is checked. Right, so if we want to protect our well-being, material or spiritual, and both, then we have to be very careful with how we deal with those people who are dear to Krishna. Driven by various kinds of mental concoctions, the demons diminish all kinds of inauspiciousness. The demons diminish all kinds of auspiciousness. An offense at the lotus feet of the devotees and brahmanas is a greater offense than that committed at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right, Krishna, he might tolerate some offense towards him. He's very merciful, very liberal. Yeah, he may tolerate our neglect, our offense toward his own person. But if we are offensive toward his devotees, towards someone who is actually really dear to him, then he does not tolerate that. And we will suffer if we commit some offense to the Lord's devotee. Therefore, let us always be respectful to Krishna's devotees and glorify them, honor them, serve them to the best of our ability. A civilization that commits such sinful activities generally loses all faith in the Supreme Lord. And such a godless civilization becomes the source of all calamities in human society. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 4th chapter of Krishna, entitled Kamsa Begins His Persecutions. Does anybody have any thoughts, reflections, questions? Okay, chapter 5. The meeting of Nanda and Vasudeva. This is why we're here, right? This is why we've come to the temple, to hear these things. This is the first item of devotional service. We want Krishna's blessings. We want prosperity. Well, we have to take up the process of bhakti yoga, which begins with hearing about God. So chapter 5, the meeting of Nanda and Vasudeva. Although Krishna was the real son of Vasudeva and Devaki, because of Kamsa's atrocious activities, Vasudeva could not enjoy the birth ceremony of his son. But Nanda Maharaj, the foster father, celebrated the birth ceremony of Krishna very joyfully. The next day, it was declared that a male child had been born to Yashoda. According to Vedic custom, Nanda Maharaj called for learned astrologers and brahmanas to perform the birth ceremony. After the birth of a child, the astrologers calculate the moment of the birth and make a horoscope of the child's future life. Before the birth ceremony, the family members take baths and cleanse themselves and decorate themselves with ornaments and nice garments. Then they come before the child and the astrologer to hear of the future life of the child. Nanda Maharaj and other members of the family dressed and sat down in front of the birthplace. All the brahmanas who were assembled there on this occasion chanted auspicious mantras according to the rituals, while the astrologers performed the birth ceremony. All the demigods are also worshipped on this occasion, as well as the forefathers of the family. Nanda Maharaj distributed to the brahmanas 200,000 cows, which were well decorated with cloth and ornaments. He gave the brahmanas not only cows in charity, but also hills of grain decorated with ornaments and golden bordered cloth. In the material world, we possess riches and wealth in many ways, but sometimes not in very honest and pious ways, because that is the nature of accumulating wealth. According to Vedic injunction, therefore, one should purify such wealth by giving cows and gold in charity to the brahmanas. A newborn child is also purified by gifts of grains in charity to the brahmanas. In this material world, it is to be understood that we are always living in a contaminated state. We therefore have to purify the duration of our lives, our possession of wealth, and ourself. We can purify our duration of life by taking a daily bath and cleansing the body inside and outside and accepting the 10 kinds of purificatory processes. By austerities, by worship of the Lord, and by distribution of charity, we can purify the possession of wealth. How can we purify the possession of wealth? By austerities, by worship of the Lord, and by distribution of charity. We can purify ourselves by studying the Vedas in order to understand the absolute truth and achieve self-realization. It is therefore stated in the Vedic literature that by birth everyone is born a Shudra. That by accepting the purificatory process one becomes twice born. That by studying the Vedas one becomes a Vipra, which is the preliminary qualification for becoming a Brahmana. And that when one perfectly understands the absolute truth, he is called a Brahmana. And when the Brahmana reaches further perfection, he becomes a Vaishnava, or a devotee. In Krishna's birth ceremony, all the assembled Brahmanas began to chant different kinds of Vedic mantras to invoke all good fortune for the child. There are different kinds of chanting known as Sutta, Magadha, Vandi, and Virudavali. Along with this chanting of mantras and songs, bugles and kettle drums sounded outside the house. On this occasion, the joyous vibrations could be heard in all the pasturing grounds and all the houses. Within and outside of the houses, there were varieties of artistic paintings done with rice pulp, and scented water was sprinkled everywhere, even on the roads and streets. Ceilings and roofs were decorated with different kinds of flags, festoons, and green leaves. The gates were made of green leaves and flowers. All the cows, bulls, and calves were smeared with a mixture of oil and turmeric and painted with minerals like red oxide, yellow clay, and manganese. They wore garlands of peacock feathers and were covered with nice colored cloths and gold necklaces. When all the ecstatic cowherd men heard that Nanda Maharaj, the father of Krishna, was celebrating the birth ceremony of his son, they became spontaneously joyful. They dressed themselves with very costly garments and ornamented their bodies with different kinds of earrings and necklaces and wore great turbans on their heads. After dressing themselves in this gorgeous way, they took various kinds of presentations and thus approached the house of Nanda Maharaj. As soon as they heard that Mother Yashoda had given birth to a child, all the cowherd women became overwhelmed with joy, and they also dressed themselves with various kinds of costly garments and ornaments, and smeared scented cosmetics on their bodies. As the dust on the lotus flower exhibits the exquisite beauty of the flower, all the gopis, the cowherd women, applied the dust of kumkuma on their lotus-like faces. These beautiful gopis took their different presentations and very soon reached the house of Maharaj Nanda. Overburdened with their heavy hips and swollen breasts, the gopis could not proceed very quickly toward the house of Nanda Maharaj, but out of ecstatic love for Krishna they proceeded as quickly as possible. Their ears were decorated with pearl rings, their necks with jeweled lockets, their lips and eyes with different kinds of lipstick and ointment, and their hands with nice golden bangles. As they were very hastily passing over the stone road, the flower garlands which were decorating their bodies fell to the ground, and it appeared that a shower of flowers was falling from the sky. From the movement of the different kinds of ornaments on their bodies, they were looking still more beautiful. In this way, they all reached the house of Nanda Yashoda and blessed the child. "Dear child, you live long just to protect us." While they were blessing child Krishna in this way, they offered a mixture of turmeric powder, oil, yogurt, milk and water. They sprinkled this mixture not only on the body of child Krishna, but on all other persons who were present there. Also on that auspicious occasion, there were different bands of expert musicians playing. When the cowherd men saw the pastimes of the cowherd women, they became very joyful, and in response they also began to throw yogurt, milk, clarified butter and water upon the bodies of the gopis. Then both parties began to throw butter on each other's bodies. Nanda Maharaj was also very happy to see the pastimes of the cowherd men and women, and he became very liberal in giving charity to the different singers who were assembled there. Some singers were reciting great verses from the Vedas and Puranas. Some were glorifying the family ancestors, and some were singing very sweet songs. There were also many learned brahmanas present, and Nanda Maharaj, being very satisfied on this occasion, gave them different kinds of garments, ornaments, and cows in charity. It is very important to note in this connection how wealthy the inhabitants of Vrindavana were simply by raising cows. All the cowherd men belonged to the Vaishya community, and their business was to protect the cows and cultivate crops. By their dress and ornaments and by their behavior, it appears that although they were in a small village, they still were rich in material possessions. They possessed such an abundance of various kinds of milk products that they were throwing butter lavishly on each other's bodies without restriction. Their wealth was in milk, yogurt, clarified butter, and many other milk products. And by trading their agricultural products, they were rich in various kinds of jewelry, ornaments, and costly garments. Not only did they possess all these things, but they could give them away in charity lavishly, as did Nanda Maharaj. Right, so a culture, a society which is centered on cow protection is very wealthy. And a culture, society or civilization which kills cows is doomed, no doubt. Thus Nanda Maharaj, the foster father of Lord Krishna, began to satisfy the desires of all men assembled there. He respectfully received them and gave them in charity whatever they desired. The learned brahmanas, who had no other source of income, were completely dependent on the Vaishya community for their maintenance, and they received gifts on such festive occasions as birthdays and marriages. While Nanda Maharaj was worshipping Lord Vishnu on this occasion and was trying to satisfy all the people there, his only desire was that the newborn child Krishna would be happy. Nanda Maharaj had no knowledge that this child was the origin of Vishnu. He was praying to Lord Vishnu to protect him. Right, so even though Krishna had taken his appearance in the world as the son of Nanda Maharaj had no idea that this child actually is the origin of all Vishnu incarnations of Godhead. And he was praying to Lord Vishnu to protect his child Krishna. Rohini Devi, the mother of Balaram, was the most fortunate wife of Vasudeva. She was away from her husband, yet just to congratulate Maharaj Nanda on the occasion of the birth ceremony of his son, Krishna, she dressed herself very nicely. Wearing a garland, a necklace, and other bodily ornaments, she appeared on the scene and moved hither and thither. According to the Vedic system, a woman whose husband is not at home does not dress herself very nicely. But although Rohini's husband was away, she still dressed herself very nicely on this occasion. Right, and in this paragraph just previously, Srila Prabhupada explains why, even though she was separated from her husband at that time, why she still dressed herself very nicely. It was because, just to congratulate Maharaj Nanda on the occasion of the birth ceremony of his son Krishna. From the opulence of the birth ceremony of Krishna, it is very clear that at that time Vrindavana was rich in every respect. Because Lord Krishna took birth in the house of King Nanda and Mother Yashoda, the goddess of fortune was obliged to manifest her opulences in Vrindavana. It appeared that Vrindavana had already become a site for the pastimes of the goddess of fortune. Does anybody have any thoughts, questions, reflections on anything they've heard? I'm happy to keep reading, but if you have anything you want to discuss in relation to what we've heard, then don't be shy. After the birth ceremony, Nanda Maharaj decided to go to Mathura to pay the annual tax to the government of Kamsa. Before leaving, he called for the able cowherd men of the village and asked them to take care of Vrindavana in his absence. When Nanda Maharaj arrived in Mathura, Vasudeva got the news and was very eager to congratulate his friend. He immediately went to the place where Nanda Maharaj was staying. When Nanda saw Vasudeva, he felt that he had regained his life. Nanda, overwhelmed with joy, immediately stood up and embraced Vasudeva. Vasudeva was received very warmly and offered a nice place to sit. Anxious about his two sons, who had been put under the protection of Nanda without Nanda's knowledge, Vasudeva inquired about them with great anxiety. Both Balaram and Krishna were the sons of Vasudeva. Balaram was transferred to the womb of Rohini, Vasudeva's own wife, but Rohini was kept under the protection of Nanda Maharaj. Krishna was personally delivered to Yashoda and exchanged for her daughter. Nanda Maharaj knew that Balaram was the son of Vasudeva, but he did not know that Krishna was also Vasudeva's son. Vasudeva, of course, was aware of this and inquired very eagerly about both Krishna and Balaram. Vasudeva then addressed Nanda. "My dear brother, you were old and very anxious to beget a son, and yet you had none. Now, by the grace of the Lord, you are fortunate to have a very nice son. I think that this incident is very auspicious for you. Dear friend, I was imprisoned by Kamsa, and now I am released. Therefore, this is another birth for me. I had no hope of seeing you again, but by God's grace I can see you." In this way, Vasudeva indirectly expressed his anxiety about Krishna. Krishna was sent incognito to the bed of Mother Yashoda, and after Nanda very pompously celebrated Krishna's birth ceremony, he went to Mathura. So Vasudeva was very much pleased and said, "This is a new birth for me." He never expected that Krishna would live, because all his other sons had been killed by Kamsa. Vasudeva continued, "My dear friend, it is very difficult for us to live together. Although we have our family and relatives, sons and daughters, by nature's way we are generally separated from one another. The reason for this is that every living entity appears on this earth under different pressures of fruitive activities. Although they assemble together, there is no certainty of their remaining together for a long time. According to one's fruitive activities, one has to act differently and thereby be separated. For example, many plants and creepers are floating on the waves of the ocean. Sometimes they come together and sometimes they separate forever. One plant goes one way and another plant goes another. Similarly, our family assembly may be very nice while we are living together, but after some time, in the course of the waves of time, we are separated." The purport of this expression by Vasudeva is this: although he had 8 sons born in the womb of Devaki, unfortunately they were all gone. He could not even keep his one son Krishna with him. Vasudeva was feeling his separation, but he could not express the real fact. "Please tell me about the welfare of Vrindavan," he said. "You have many animals. Are they happy? Are they getting sufficient grass and water? Please also let me know whether the place where you are now living is undisturbed and peaceful." This inquiry was made by Vasudeva because he was very anxious about Krishna's safety. He knew that Kamsa and his followers were trying to kill Krishna by sending various kinds of demons. They had already resolved that all children born within 10 days of the birthday of Krishna would be killed. Because Vasudeva was so anxious about Krishna, he inquired about the safety of his residence. He also inquired about Balaram and his mother, Rohini, who were entrusted to the care of Nanda Maharaj. Vasudeva also reminded Nanda Maharaj that Balaram did not know his real father. "He knows you as his father, and now you have another child, Krishna, and I think you are taking very nice care of both of them." It is also significant that Vasudeva inquired about the welfare of Nanda Maharaj's animals. The animals, and especially the cows, were protected exactly in the manner of one's children. Right? Exactly in the manner of one's children. Vasudeva was a Kshatriya and Nanda Maharaj was a Vaishya. It is the duty of the Kshatriyas to give protection to the citizens, and it is the duty of the Vaishyas to give protection to the cows. The cows are as important as the citizens. Just as the human citizens should be given all kinds of protection, so the cows also should be given full protection. Vasudeva continued to say that the maintenance of religious principles, economic development, and the satisfactory execution of meeting the demands of the senses depend on cooperation among relatives, nations, and all humanity. So essentially, right, religious activities, economic development, or generation of wealth, and meeting the demands of the senses, yes, or being able to, what else to say? Meeting the demands of the senses, right? Sense enjoyment. All of these things depend on cooperation among relatives, nations, and all humanity. If there's no cooperation, then everything goes to pot. Therefore, it is everyone's duty to see that his fellow citizens and the cows are not put into difficulty. One should see to the peace and comfort of his fellow man and the animals. The development of religious principles, economic development, and sense gratification can then be achieved without difficulty. Right, elsewhere, Srila Prabhupada writes that it is by seeing to the happiness of the cows and the bulls that a human being earns happiness for himself. Right, simply by taking care of the happiness of the cow and the bull, one gains happiness. Vasudeva expressed his sorrow due to not being able to give protection to his own sons born of Devaki. He was thinking that religious principles, economic development, and the satisfaction of his senses were therefore all lost. So Vasudeva was feeling responsible that he couldn't protect his own sons from the hands of Kamsa. On hearing this, Nanda Maharaj replied, "My dear Vasudeva, I know that you are very much aggrieved because the cruel king Kamsa has killed all your sons born of Devaki. Although the last child was a daughter, Kamsa could not kill her, and she has entered into the celestial planets. My dear friend, do not be aggrieved. We are all being controlled by our past unseen activities. Everyone is subjected to his past deeds, and one who is conversant with the philosophy of karma and its reactions is a man in knowledge. Such a person will not be aggrieved at any incident, happy or miserable." Vasudeva then replied, "My dear Nanda, if you have already paid the government taxes, then return soon to your place, because I think that there may be some disturbances in Gokula." After the friendly conversation between Nanda Maharaj and Vasudeva, Vasudeva returned to his home. Nanda Maharaj and the other cowherd men who had come to Mathura to pay their taxes also returned home. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 5th chapter of Krishna, the meeting of Nanda and Vasudeva. So now we're going to have Bhagavad Gita class. This is a very nice exchange between Krishna's two fathers, Vasudeva and Nanda Maharaj. Vasudeva was feeling aggrieved that he was not able to protect his sons from Kamsa. But Nanda Maharaj reassured him that we are all being controlled by our past unseen activities. Earlier in the book, Vasudeva himself said that one should do one's best to carry out one's duties. Was it Vasudeva who said it? Anyway, maybe Srila Prabhupada commented. One should do one's best to carry out one's own duties. Yes, but if the execution is not successful, if the result doesn't come, then one should not blame oneself. We should not be hung up. But simply concentrate on the proper execution of your own duty, regardless of the result. Okay. Prabhu, are you giving class? Yeah? Great, okay. Hare Krishna. So we're going to have like a music class now, and you can all sit facing the speaker on this side of the room. That will be nice.
Thank you. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Welcome to the Bhaktivedanta Manor. We'll start off with some kirtan, then we'll have a Bhagavad Gita class. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishta Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namo Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste. Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktivinoda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Everyone please try to sing Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokula Nanda, Radha Gokula Nanda, Shri Radhe, Radha Gokula Nanda, Radha Gokula Nanda, Shri Radhe. Jai Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai, Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. Thank you very much for coming. I know the weather is not very nice outside. I wasn't expecting anyone, to be honest. I thought nobody would be here. So I really appreciate your devotion and sincerity. Despite this weather, you have come to the temple of the Supreme Lord. So we'll have a Bhagavad Gita class now, based on the verse chapter 4, verse 17. If you want, you can search on your smartphones BG 4.17. You'll get this verse and you can follow if you like. So before we start, we just chant a prayer. You repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this is Bhagavad Gita chapter 4 titled Transcendental Knowledge, verse 17. So read the Sanskrit. Karmano yapi bodhavyam. If you want, you can repeat if you're comfortable. So just say Karmano api bodhavyam. Bodhavyam cha vikarmanaha. Akarmanasya bodhavyam. Gehana karmano gati. Karmano api bodhavyam cha vikarmana. Akarmanasya bodhavyam gehana karmano gati. Bodhavyam cha vikarmana. Akarmanasya bodhavyam gehana karmano gati. So, do the word-to-word translation. So, karmana means of work. He certainly. Api also. Bodhavyam should be understood. Bodhavyam should be understood. Cha also. Vikarmana of forbidden work. Akarmana of inaction. Cha also. Bodhavyam should be understood. Gahana very difficult. Karmana of work. Gati entrance. So the translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is. So, we'll read the purport. If one is serious about liberation from material bondage, one has to understand the distinctions between action, inaction, and unauthorized actions. One has to apply oneself to such an analysis of action, reaction, and perverted action, because it is a very difficult subject matter. To understand Krishna consciousness and action according to its modes, one has to learn one's relationship with the Supreme. That is, one who has learned perfectly knows that every living entity is an eternal servitor of the Lord, and that consequently one has to act in Krishna consciousness. The entire Bhagavad Gita is directed towards this conclusion. Any other conclusion against this consciousness and its attendant actions are vikarmanas or prohibited actions. To understand all this, one has to associate with authorities in Krishna consciousness and learn the secret from them. This is as good as learning from the Lord directly. Otherwise, even the most intelligent persons will be bewildered. So very interestingly in this verse, Krishna, if you notice, repeats one word 3 times in this verse. And anything that is repeated in the scriptures, it means it is very, very important. So if you come for, especially Sunday evening Kirtan, so at 9:30 when we finish, we chant this verse, Harer Nam, Harer Nam, Harer Nameva Kevalam, Kalav Nasteva, 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 Gatir Anyatha. So generally you see in scriptures, if something is very important, then it is repeated 3 times. So in this verse it says, Harer Nam, Harer Nam, Harer Nam. You know what is Harer Nam? Hari ka Nam, the name of Lord Hari. So Harer Nam, Harer Nam, Harer Nameva Hi Kevalam, Kalav Nasteva, Nasteva, so Nasteva is repeated 3 times. Kalav Nasteva, 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 Gatir Anyatha. So Kalav means Kali Yuga. So in Kali Yuga, there is no other means of deliverance. So here, What word is repeated 3 times in this verse? Who can tell? Is it there? Okay. So bodhavyam. So Krishna says, karmano hi api bodhavyam. Then he says, bodhavyam cha vikarmana. 2 times. Then again, akarmanya bodhavyam. Gahana karmano gati. So bodhavyam he says 3 times. So what does bodhavyam means? Bodhavyam means to understand. So Krishna could have said only 1 time and say, okay, you need to understand karma, akarma and vikarma. But he's saying it 3 times to emphasize the point that you understand karma, you also understand akarma, you also understand vikarma. He didn't say understand karma, akarma and vikarma, no. Because he wants to emphasize the importance of these terms. Karma, akarma and vikarma. And what does he say then? But in the end he says, it's like a warning. He says, gahano karmano gati. So gahana means something which is very difficult, very, very deep subject matter. So not easy to understand. So Krishna is saying, yes, understand these 3 things. But let me tell you, they are very difficult to understand. So then what do we do? So then Krishna explains to Arjun these concepts. But why do we need to understand karma, akarma and vikarma? Right? So Krishna, so this chapter is about transcendental knowledge. Transcendental means divine, which is not of this world. It's just connected to the Supreme. But why do we need to understand this? It's very important because Krishna is saying you should understand this, and also it is very difficult. Right? So then, and also in this chapter, Krishna, there's one verse where Krishna says how to accept this knowledge. It is accepted in parampara, in disciplic succession, Guru Shishya parampara. And that Guru Shishya parampara starts from Krishna. So if you have a copy of the Gita, at the end of the introduction, Prabhupada mentions the Guru Shishya parampara starting all the way from Krishna. So, and then Krishna also in the same chapter says that this parampara got broken. So Arjun, I'm giving this knowledge again to you. But was it meant only for Arjun? No. If it was meant only for Arjun, then we would not be sitting here and discussing this. It was meant for all of us. So it was not that Arjun was under ignorance and was asking all these questions to Krishna. He asked all these questions for our sake, so that we, after 5,000 years, could read this and understand. Right? Arjun already understood. He's a devotee. He's a friend of the Lord. But for our sake, he's asking all these questions. And for our sake, Krishna is explaining to Arjun all these concepts. So karma, generally, the term karma is used very loosely these days, right? And everyone has some idea of karma. Would anyone like to say what they understand by karma? It's a very, very general term these days, karma. Do you know what it means? What is karma? Does anyone know? Sorry? Action, yeah. Karma means action, activity. So karma and then akarma. So in Hindi, if you put a before a word, it becomes opposite. So karma opposite of karma is akarma, but not exactly. We'll come to that. And then vikarma is forbidden action, as Krishna says. So unless you know how you need to act, what you need to do, then how will you know what is right for you and what is wrong for you? Right? You first need to know what I'm trying to do, what I'm going to do is the right thing to do. Right? So for example, a cashier at the bank gives out cash all day long. But he's not caught by the police for giving out cash because he's authorized by the bank manager to give out the cash, right? So he's doing his duty. But a thief who goes in the night to steal the cash, that is forbidden activity. That you should not be doing. So to loosely understand, karma is good work, vikarma is bad work, and akarma is divine work. Right? So if we act according to the Vedic instructions, we are doing good work. So for example, we all eat food. Is it a bad activity to eat food? No. It's a good activity, right? Yeah, all agree. So eating food is a good activity. We all do it. Nothing wrong with that. That is karma. But if we kill a cow and eat beef, that is vikarma, bad activity, forbidden activity, right? Because we are causing unnecessary violence to an animal. And then what is akarma? So akarma is, yes, we eat food, but before we eat food, like you'll see, shortly the curtains will close and bhoga will be offered to the lordships. So that is akarma. Why? Because before eating the food, we have offered it to Krishna. So Krishna says in the Gita, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Priyachati. So with love and devotion, if you offer flower, fruit, leaf or water to Krishna, he accepts it. But not only he accepts it, he takes away the sinful reactions from that food. So even though you are a vegetarian, most of us, I believe, are vegetarians, we eat vegetarian food, but still, if it is not offered to, you see, it incurs sinful reaction because some vegetable had to be cut. So there was some violence, very, very minimal violence, but there was some violence when you cook. When your mother cooks food at home, some insects get killed. Or when you wash the food in hot water, some insects in the cauliflower or cabbage get killed. So there is some violence, even if you are a vegetarian. Even monkeys are vegetarian, for that matter, right? So being a vegetarian is not all that is important, but you need to understand this difference. That's why Krishna is saying you have to understand karma, akarma and vikarma, and these are difficult to understand, right? Because it looks very nice. Yeah, I'm just eating food. What's wrong with that? Well, the wrong is you have not offered it to Krishna. Why? Because Krishna is the one who has provided for you. You didn't. So that's why Krishna speaks this knowledge here that we need to understand, right? So we may be eating food every day as a matter of ritual, but that also incurs some sin. It's a good activity. So in this world, good activities and bad activities give us good reactions and bad reactions. So you could say, I'm a good man. You know, I've not even harmed an ant in my life. Fine, you're a good man. You get good reactions for that. You may go to a heavenly planet, but the problem with being good also is that you have to come back into this world to enjoy the fruits of your good work. So you may go to heavenly planets, or you might take birth in a rich aristocratic family, but you have to take birth. Now this baby here, the parents are here, they're newly born, but you have to ask the mother, the pain of the labor. It's not easy, giving birth to a child. Then ask the child, who has lived in the womb of the mother for 9 months. So child cannot speak, of course. But child has lived in the womb of the mother for 9 months. Imagine you are packed in a bag for 9 months. You won't even survive 9 hours. You might die. It's not easy, right? So by the divine arrangement, the child survives, right? Krishna provides for the child in the womb of the mother, right? Even though if the child doesn't know how to eat food, Krishna arranges for that, right? So the problem with good and bad is also, even if it is good, you have to come back again, take birth, and enjoy that good reactions, right? So punya ka phal hai, you come here to enjoy it, right? That means you have to take birth again. And the risk is, when you take birth again, what is the chance that you will do good work in the next life, right? You may not. It is always a free will, right? So Krishna, and also the bad work, we may do bad work, but we may hide it, right? So you may say, nobody knows about it, so the police doesn't catch you. But the Paramatma is seated in our heart. Riddesha Arjuna Tishtati, Krishna says in the Gita, he's in our heart. So not only he knows what we are doing, he also knows what we are thinking, because he's right within us, next to us, right? So there's a picture in the Gita where you see there are two birds sitting on the branch of a tree. One bird is eating the fruit of the tree, and the other bird is watching the bird, right? So the bird that is watching this bird is the Paramatma, and the bird that is eating the fruit of the tree is us, the Atma, right? So at the moment we have taken on this human body, depending on our activities in this life, we may get a human body next life, or we may get an animal body or an aquatic body or a plant body, right? Depending on how we act. So that's why Krishna is saying you must understand karma, akarma and vikarma. Now the problem is, you'll say, okay, but we have to work, right? We cannot just sit idle. Yes, we cannot sit idle. You must work. So you'll say that, okay, but if I work, then I'll either get a good reaction or a bad reaction. Yes, that is right. That's why Krishna is saying you understand akarma and vikarma, right? So he's giving you the knowledge. So karma will give you good or bad. Karma is generally good action, as per the scriptures, like eating food, or you work hard, you get a salary, right? You take the money home and, support your family, which is good. But then what is akarma? You also need to know about that work which does not give you either good or bad reaction. So for example, when the soldier fights the enemy and kills the enemy soldiers, does he get hanged for that? Is that a crime? No, that's not. He's given a gallantry medal. How come? So the soldier committed violence. How do you understand that? So if you go out and kill somebody, you'll be caught by the police, right? But the soldier kills 10 soldiers on the border, he's not caught by the police. So what's the difference? You are also committing violence, soldier is also committing violence. But the soldier is committing violence under authority, right? Under an order. You are Shri Shri Radha Gokulanand ki jai, Shri Shri Siddharam Lakshman Hanuman ki jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai. So the difference between the soldier committing violence and you committing violence is that he is doing it under higher authorities' instructions. You are doing it whimsically. You are doing it for your own purpose, your selfish purpose. I don't like this person, I want to kill him or kill her, right? So you get implicated in the reaction of that sin. But soldier doesn't. He gets a gallantry medal, even though he has killed 10 people on the border. Why? Because he's killed the enemy. That's what his duty, that is his prescribed duty. For example, you take a knife and you hurt somebody, you're liable for punishment. But a surgeon uses a knife on the operation theater and he cuts. He doesn't get punished. Right? So that's why Krishna is saying you need to understand the difference between karma and akarma and vikarma. And it is difficult to understand, although it appears to be the same. So the karmic reaction comes from the fruitive consciousness, not from the activity. So the surgeon is also cutting, but you could also cut somebody on the street. This cutting is cutting, right? So it is not the activity itself that gives you the reaction. It is the consciousness that gives you the reaction, right? So it is important to understand what we are doing is whether the right thing or not for me to do, right? And because we are in the human form of life, at the time of death, we cannot say to whoever comes to claim us at the time of death that, oh, I didn't know I had to do this. I wasn't aware. It's like I came from India 20 years ago, and if I commit a crime here, can I say to the judge that, sorry, I came from India, I didn't know the laws of the land. Will he let me go? No, that's not an excuse, right? Ignorance of a law is not an excuse for breaking the law. So similarly, after death, you cannot say, oh, I didn't know what I had to do in the human form of life. Oh, then why did you not inquire? You're not a cat or a dog, right? So if you are given higher powers, then higher responsibility comes with that, right? So with a little child, you do not expect him to behave in the same way as his father, right? Because the father has higher intelligence than the child, right? So if the child does something silly, you will ignore it because it's a child. But if the father does the same thing, you'll say, are you all right? Yeah, are you crazy? Why are you doing this? Right? It's the same action. So it's not the activity itself that gives you the reaction. It is the consciousness, right? So and then akarma. So how can I work but not get it? So as Prabhupada explains, therefore what inaction is. So akarma is called inaction. But how can we not do any action? We have to do something, right? So it's not possible to do no action. So what does this mean? So what this means is when you act for the pleasure of Krishna, then you do not get good or bad reaction. Right? Like the soldier who kills the enemy on the order of the government, he does not get arrested when he returns home. Right? So similarly, but how do you know what Krishna wants? The next question is, how do I act for the pleasure of Krishna? So for example, as I said, you work in an office or you have a business, you earn money, you support your family, that's good work. That is karma. But if with the money that you earn, you use that money for the pleasure of Krishna, for the service of Krishna, then that is akarma. You're not getting reaction from the work. And vikarma is, you earn money and someone robbed you on the street and took your money. That is forbidden action. For that he'll be punished, right? So these are the subtleties of action. Although it appears to be same, but the reaction is not the same, right? So how we act in this world determines our next destination, right? So that's why it is important to understand. And also forbidden. Forbidden is like unlawful work, illegal. So we have a general understanding of what we should do and what we should not do, right? We try to find out. Like even when we are driving a car, we are generally conscious of what I should not do. There's a camera, I slow down because I get a ticket, right? So it's a forbidden action to speeding. So this is the general understanding. Now you could say that. So as Prabhupada explains in the purport, one has to apply oneself to such an analysis of action, reaction and perverted actions because it is a very difficult subject. So that because it is, so Krishna is saying it is difficult, by the way, but you need to understand them. So if something difficult and Krishna is saying you must understand, that means you need to analyze it, right? So there are, and also because Krishna also talks about in this chapter the concept of varnashram. So varnashram is so the four varnas: Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra. But this is not, I mean, we have something called a caste system. So caste system is not varnashram. It was propagated a lot by the British. They did the caste census because the idea was to divide and rule. So you pit Hindus against Muslims, but then what do you do with the Hindus? Okay, pit them against each other using their caste. So they did a caste census. And of course, we need to be very clear that caste does not have to do anything with your varna. So you could be born in a so-called Shudra family, but you could act as a Brahmana, right? So, for example, Vishwamitra, he was a Raja Rishi, so he was a king, but then he acted as a Brahmana, so he changed his varna. Remember in Ramayana, when Vishwamitra Muni came to King Darshan, he said, I want your sons to fight these demons. But Vishwamitra, he was a very powerful sage. He could have done it himself, but he did not. Because he was a Brahmana, it was against his varna to fight. So it was a duty of Kshatriya to fight. So he needed Ram and Lakshman to come with him. Right? So Lord Ram killed those demons in the forest. He could have done it. He was strong enough. But he didn't do it because that was against his dharma. So we need to understand. So, and it honestly doesn't matter whether you are a Brahman, Kshatriya, Shudra or a Vaishya. So in scriptures it is explained that Brahman represent the mouth of the Lord. So generally in India you've seen that when there is a religious ceremony at home, we invite Brahmanas to eat, right? Because Brahmanas represent the mouth of the Lord. The Lord eats through the Brahmanas. And then the Kshatriya, they are the arms of the Lord. Yeah, strong. Vaishyas are the belly or the waist of the Lord. And Shudras are the legs of the Lord. Now you have to understand when we are talking about the Lord is the absolute, right? So he can do anything with any of his limbs. So he can eat with his eyes. So when we offer bhoga to Krishna, when he looks at the bhoga, he eats through the eyes. Right? He does not have to eat like us. He can eat like us, but again, so he can do anything with any limb. He's absolute, right? So whether you are a Shudra, whether you are the legs of the Lord, or whether you are the head of the Lord. So when you take darshan of the deity, you see Tulsi is offered at the feet of the Lord. It's not offered to the head of the Lord. Chandan is offered at the head of the Lord. So whether you offer Tulsi at the feet of the Lord or whether you offer Chandan at the head of the Lord, it's the same thing for him, right? He's equally pleased by offering Tulsi at the... So whether you're a Shudra or a Brahmana or a Kshatriya, it doesn't matter. But what matters, most importantly, is that they all should cooperate, right? We do not artificially act on a platform where we are not, right? A Shudra should not act as a Brahmin if he's not a Brahmin. But there's nothing wrong being a Shudra. In fact, in Kali Yuga, most people are Shudra. Shudra is one who works for somebody else. Most of us have jobs, we work for someone else, whether government or private, whatever, right? So it does not matter. What matters is all the four varnas serve the Lord, right? Lord is the absolute whole. And so imagine, what's the importance of legs without the body? If the legs are not attached to the body, can the legs do much? If the arms are not attached to the body, what's the use of the arms? Right? So regardless of who we are, what we do, unless we use what we have in the service of Krishna, ultimately it is useless. Even if you do good karma, you have to come back again and again and again. Krishna says in the Gita, Janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukha dosha anu darshanam. So Janma is birth, mrityu is death, jara is old age, vyadhi is disease. So these four things, Krishna says, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, Dukh, Dosha, Anu, Darshanam. So darshan means you take darshan of the Lord to see, right? Anu darshan means to see repeatedly. So you have to see these four things repeatedly. What? Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. So even if you are a good man, you have to come back again. You have to take birth again. You have to go back into the womb of a mother, which is a very, very... So the child doesn't remember what pain he has gone through or she has gone through in those 9 months. But it is painful to be in the womb of the mother for 9 months, right? Even though you may be born in a very rich family. But why take the trouble? Why take the trouble to get old? Why take the trouble to get diseased? Right? And why take trouble to die? I mean, death is not a pleasant, of course, we don't remember the last time we died, but we know, we have seen in our family people dying. It's not a pleasant experience. So Krishna says, why bother taking birth again and again and again? Get out of this cycle. So how do you get out of this cycle? You can only come out of this cycle if you understand karma, akarma and vikarma. That's why Krishna is saying, understand this. Then he says, understand this. Then he says, understand this. And then he says, it is difficult to understand. So we cannot figure out very easily how we get karmic reactions. And it is not our business to understand. Like in Shitashvata Upanishad, it says that when you perform an activity, it is like sowing the seed in the ground. And then that seed takes some time to turn into a plant and then a tree, and then there's a fruit on the tree, the fruit matures on the tree, and when the fruit matures on the tree, it falls of its own. That is when you get the reaction. So you may not get reaction of what you do now, you may get it in the next lifetime. Like Dhritarashtra killed 100 children of a bird, but he got that reaction after 100 birds. So he asked, why did it take 100 birds for me to get reaction? 100 sons of Dhritarashtra got killed. So why do you think it took 100 birds for Dhritarashtra to get that reaction? Why not immediately?
Because he had to earn that fortune to have 100 children.
Yeah. Yeah, so you need to have some punya to have a son. So he had to accumulate that punya to have a son. So in order to accumulate that punya, he took 100 birds. I mean, there is no set formula. I mean, I just gave an example. Thank you, Prabhuji. But we should not try to figure out why this happened to me. You can never figure out, let me tell you. You would never know what you did in what lifetime, whether this lifetime or previous lifetime. So it is not our business to figure out why this happened to me. We can never figure out. But what we can understand is from the Bhagavad Gita is how I should act. Whatever has happened, you can do nothing about it, right? But now, the present is in your control. You can choose to. So for example, so our destiny or how we acted in the past determines our destiny, right? But that destiny does not control your actions or does not control your reactions to what happens in your life. So for example, it was my destiny to be born blind. Right? But that does not stop me from becoming a learned acharya. You know this great saint in India, Rambhadracharya, who even went to the Supreme Court to testify for the Ayodhya case. He's blind by birth. Rambhadracharya is blind by birth, but he quoted all the Shastras in the court to give evidence. So what has happened due to my past karma cannot stop me from reacting to my present, right? I have the choice. I always have the free will to act, right? Nobody's forcing me. So you would say that if Krishna is seated in... Now, we have to understand that there are three doers. So I'm the doer. So sometimes, we think, oh, I worked so hard. But, my friend got that result. I didn't get the same result. Because you are not the only doer. You think you are, but you are not. Krishna says in the Gita that ahankar vimud atma kartaham iti manyate. Ahankar means arrogance. So you think that you are the doer, and you think, and that's why, you expect certain result from your action, but it doesn't work that way, right? Everyone works hard, but not everyone gets the same result. So ahankar, because of ahankar, we think I am the karta. No, you are not the only karta. There are two other kartas. So you are the karta. So we are the doer in the sense that we desire. We desire. So suppose all of you desired to come to the temple today. That was but there were many other people who also wanted to come to the temple today. They looked out. Leave it here, it's raining. We'll go on the weekend. Right? So all of you desired, that's why you are here. But then when you desired, then Paramatma seated in your heart, Sarvasya chaham riddhi sanni vishto. He's seated in our hearts, Krishna says. He has to sanction that desire. Krishna has to sanction your desire to go to the temple. Right? You may have desired to come to the temple many times in the past. You were not able to come every time. But today, Krishna sanctioned your desire. And then who's the third actor? Third actor is material nature. So our body is made of Panch Mahabhut, earth, water, fire, air, ether. So this is not us. This body is not us. We are the Atma who is seated in the body. We are in the body right now. After death, we'll occupy another body. Right? So we are not this body. It's just, we are like tenants. This is not our property. This is Krishna's property. We have rented it. After the lease is over, we'll be kicked out. Right? So Krishna as Paramatma in our heart approves our desire. Once he approves, then he instructs material nature, okay, let him go. So what does that mean? You're able to stand, walk, drive, talk. If Krishna does not sanction, you cannot lift your finger. So Krishna sanctions each and every... Now you say, if Krishna is sanctioning everything, why is he sanctioning sinful activities? Why are people killing each other? What's happening in Iran now? Or, I don't know, all this crime happening. Why? If Krishna is why is he sanctioning crime? So Krishna gives us all free will. He's not forcing us. He's not forcing any of us. He only wants us to go to him out of love, not by force. He doesn't want to force you. He's given you that little tiny free will. Now if Krishna has to force, then there's no question of free will, right? So if you have 10 pounds, if you give your child 10 pounds, generally mother knows what the child will do with 10 pounds. If I give her 10 pounds, mother knows what. So Krishna knows what this child will do, right? But then child forces, no, I want to buy this gun. Yeah? Okay, you can do whatever you like with 10 pounds, right? Or whatever. So if you have a desire to commit a crime, we all, forget about crime, even, something which is unethical, right? There is some voice in the heart that tells us, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. We ignore it. Yeah, there's a voice in the heart that tells us, don't do it. Right? We ignore it. And we say, no, I want to do it. I know it is wrong, but I want to do it. Don't do it. No, I want to do it. I know it is wrong. It's all right. I want to do it. Okay, fine. The child can buy a knife with that 10 pound and kill his classmate. What can you do? Child's free will. You didn't give him 10 pound to buy a knife and kill another child. So Krishna warns us. But then ultimately the choice is ours. We have to suffer the good and bad reaction of what we do. Krishna is not forcing us. He's giving us the facility. So for example, in your bank account, you have 1,000 pound. Hare Krishna. So you can withdraw the 1,000 pound and do whatever you like with that 1,000 pound. It is yours. You can do good or bad activity with that. Well, it is your will. So Krishna is not forcing us. He's seated in our heart, but he's sanctioning good and bad, both. But he's not liable for it. You are, because you had the desire to engage in a sinful activity or a good activity. Right? So we need to understand. So if Krishna is saying it is difficult, then, and if you have to understand, then how do we do it? In the end, Krishna says, Gahana karmano gati. He says, Karmano api bodhavyam cha vikarmana, akarmanascha bodhavyam, gahana karmano api. You understand karma, you understand vikarma, you understand akarma. But it is difficult to understand. If it is difficult, then what do I do? It is difficult, then I take shelter of Krishna. This is Krishna in the form of his words. I take shelter of a bona fide guru. When I say bona fide guru, not like any guru. Nowadays, you'll find so many gurus on YouTube. The people who call themselves Acharya. There's someone called Acharya Prashant or somebody. People call themselves Acharya. They self-confessed gurus. No, you need to find out who's a bona fide guru. Otherwise, you'll be cheated. His Holiness Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, he said that this world consists of two types of people, cheaters and cheated. If you're not careful, because you have to do that due diligence. To find a school for a child, you do so much research, right? You even move to a property which is closer to a good school because you want your child to go to that school. So even for small things, we do so much research, but we don't do any research on the purpose of human life. We look at the neighbor, what the neighbor is doing. Arey Baba, neighbor is going to hell. Do you want to go to hell? Right? So you need to understand what is the purpose of human life. So the guidance is there. At the time of death, you cannot say, I didn't know. No, you can't say a cat or a dog doesn't get a sinful reaction because they have a lower consciousness. We have been given higher consciousness. That means we also have a higher responsibility. Like this child can do something silly, we won't bother. But the father does something silly, we'll bother. Similarly, we have higher consciousness in the human form of life. We need to act responsibly. We need to find out what is good and what is bad. We may choose to still go for the bad, which is fine. But at least we should know that I've made that decision and this is the reaction that will come. We cannot feign ignorance at the time of death. No, we had all the opportunity. We have been given the intelligence to understand the higher concepts, right? The purpose of life. So we take shelter of Krishna in the form of Bhagavad Gita. We take shelter of a bona fide guru. Who is a bona fide guru? Who comes in the disciplic succession in a bona fide parampara. Otherwise, this knowledge gets lost. So Krishna says in this same chapter that I'm saying this all to you again because this knowledge, the chain was broken. Right? Where with the course of time, sakale neha mehta yogo nashta parantapa. Okay, this knowledge got, this link got destroyed. So I'm speaking this again. So we need to know, so Krishna, Guru, and then Shastra, the scriptures. Right? These are our shelter. We find out what is right, what is wrong. We do not determine whimsically what is right, what is wrong for me. We have to take shelter of this. Right? And so if anyone has any questions, please ask. I've been speaking for some time now. But yeah, this is a very important subject matter for us to understand because we have all taken human birth. We should not die in ignorance. Right? Sorry, Hare Krishna. Huh?
You say we all have the freedom and we want to do this and Krishna mentioned it for us. Just try to understand all these wars and killing and bad stuff is happening. Is that because now the people just desiring it or it's because those people are getting killed, it's because of their past karmas and they're getting it back?
Yeah, that's why I mentioned in the middle of the class, we can never figure out why something has happened to us or to somebody else. It is a very complex web of karma and reactions. Only God knows. But all we can understand is that, of course, there is some karma somewhere. Right? Nothing happens without a reason. Right? You are not in a dangerous situation without reason. Remember that airplane crash in Ahmedabad, Air India? Everyone died. Apart from one person. Why? Why he did not die? It is inconceivable how that person survived. Inconceivable. Even if you are an atheist, you should challenge yourself. How one person? It is not possible for that one person to survive. Who made him live? It is impossible. Imagine the scenario. No way he can survive. He came out walking. So, yes, there is a connection, but what I suggest is you don't bother about that. Because what has happened, right? Our job is to perfect our life with the knowledge that we have. So Krishna, in the Gita elsewhere, he says he's Updrishta and he's Anumanta. And he's Bharta. See, Bharta, he maintains all of us, but he's also Updrishta and Anumanta. There's a word in Hindi called Anumati. You give Anumati, means you give permission to do something. So he's Anumanta, he always gives permission for everything that you want to do. Right? He has to give permission, otherwise you cannot do. And then he's also Updrishta. Updrishta means he sees. He's a viewer. He watches you, what you are doing. But he's not interfering in your free will. He lets you do what you want to do. If you have sufficient balance in your account, right? So you may want to buy a Ferrari, but you don't have money in your account, so you cannot buy, of course. So Krishna also looks at your karmic balance and he says, "Tige, this man's got some karma in his account, I'll let him do it." Right? Just because you desire to do something, you cannot do it. Right? So Krishna also looks at your balance. But rather than bothering about why something happened, good or bad, because we cannot figure out what I might have done in the past life. Right? These things nobody can figure out. But what we can do is what is in our control. What is not in our control, why bother? Right? So yes, you're right. All those people may have some past connections, some karma, Nothing happens without a reason. But we also remember that we have to learn to see Krishna's hand in our life, right? So, but Krishna will not interfere in our life unless we petition Krishna. Oh Krishna, please save me, please show me the direction. We have to petition him. Not only he's on the altar, he's also in your heart. He knows what you are thinking. So you can cheat me, you can cheat her, you cannot cheat him. He's in your heart. So where will you go? Right? So you may hide from the police. You cannot hide from Krishna, right? So that's why Krishna says, understand. Bodhavyam, bodhavyam, bodhavyam. He says 3 times. Understand karma, understand vikarma, and understand akarma. So we need to look for action in inaction. So yes, as a devotee, Bhagavatam gives example of Amrish Maharaj. So he used his eyes to see the beautiful form of the Lord. He used his senses to embrace the devotees of the Lord. He offered obeisances. He used his legs to walk to the temple of the Lord. So we can try and live in a way that pleases Krishna and Guru, right? So we will still be acting. We'll still be doing our job. We need to go to a 9-to-5 job. Fine, that's good. But then what are we doing with what we get from the job? What are we doing with our time? What are we doing socially, right? We are eating out at restaurants, which is good. It's a legal. I've legally earned my money. I'm eating out, fine, good. But then there's a reaction, right? Because that food is not offered to Krishna. So everything, you may go to wherever, Thailand for a holiday, fine. But what is it doing to your spiritual life? Is it pleasing to Krishna? No, it is not. Then I won't go to Thailand. So the thing is, we can do all of those. We can go to a beach. We can go to Jagannath Puri. I was there a couple of years ago. Beautiful beach. So no harm, you're visiting a holy place, right? But any pleasure, the problem is this pleasure-seeking tendency, right? The tendency to try and enjoy the fruits of our work for our gratification or not Krishna's gratification. That's what gets us into trouble. Yeah? And anyone else has any comments? I hope that made sense. Thank you so much for coming. We'll have Aarti in a couple minutes. So if no one has any comments, then we can wind up. Hare Krishna, thank you very much for your attention. All the best. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna everyone. The Aarti will start soon, so if you all can come forward and we'll make some room for other guests as well. Please come.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Just before Aarti begins, can I just ask you that we keep a small corridor just at the center of the temple room, so that Srila Prabhupada's line of sight, our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada, his murti is there at the back of the temple room. We consider this non-different from him, and so out of respect we like to keep at least a narrow corridor up the center so that he can see the deities and that the Lord can also see him. Pardon?
Not in front of my
Okay, yeah. And that's fine. Good. And if you see anybody also standing directly in front of Srila Prabhupada, you can just gently ask them to move to the left or to the right. That will really help. Thanks so much.
श्री श्री राधा गोकुलानंद की जय सिया राम लखन हनुमान की जय श्री गौनिताय की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की बजयो जयो गौरा चांदे आरती को शोभा कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमति भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने ओम विष्णु पदाय ना Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare श्री श्री राधा गोकुलानंद की जय सिया राम लखन हनुमान की जय श्री गौनिताय की जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय।
Can I request everyone to sit down for 5 minutes? We'll have the nursing prayers for our protection. Thank you. Namaste Narasimhaya Balad Lad Daine Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha Tangana Shri Narsingh Bhagwan ki, Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Thank you very much all for attending the Aarti. Prashadam is now being served outside in the adjacent room, and the next Aarti will be at 9 o'clock. Thank you.
Sometimes I was doing
So you didn't have a choice.
Yeah, exactly. So now I'm trying to find out what it is. Get some prashad.
But they got the thing is, they keep that.
Yeah, yeah. Of course. That's why.
No, but maybe.
No.